You're French.
Silent T. Ça c'est bien. Allegedly.
I allegedly thought you were Italian, but you're actually.
That's actually the truth. I'm hiding a French name to protect my true identity.
There you go, John.
Now,
Awesome.
You know, I'm from Rhode Island. You got to do these things. You know what I'm saying?
I know. John actually grew up, right? You grew up with the Barbarian Brothers, correct?
Well, let me actually straighten that out. See, the twins were from Connecticut,
Yeah.
and after Peter came back as a freshman in Iowa with Dan Gable, he went to the University of Rhode Island,
Okay.
where he joined a fraternity, and his fraternity brothers went to high school with me at Bristol High School.
That's your
So
connection.
this is how, yeah. Okay.
That's the connection.
Now,
Yeah.
what attracted you to those guys? Like, like, I was like magnetically drawn to those guys. Like, I get them. I mean, you actually had some business dealings with them. What was the how did you kind of get connected with them?
Well, you know, there was a lot of political turmoil going on in Rhode Island back at the turn of the century. And Peter and David wanted to start funding their own movies. You know, they were making, $1 million budget movies. Their last one, or they were in the process of shooting one with John Turteltaub. He was fresh out of film school, and he went on to become, as today, he's one of Disney's top directors. So they invited me to come out and discuss the matter with them. And so, I flew out and I went with.
What was your background though that you were involved in that? Did you have a background in finance?
Yeah, I graduated from Bryant University with honors degree in finance, and I went right to Wall Street. Well, I went to New Hampshire, started with Prudential-based securities.
So why did they get blacklisted? What happened to them? They weren't climbing the Hollywood ladder, and it seemed like they were going to make millions. What stopped them?
Well, you'd have to really ask them about that.
No, but you can't get a straight answer out of Peter. Right?
No.
You could have gotten one out of Dave.
That's why I got you here.
The blackball list allegedly didn't occur, according to Peter, until about 2005 or so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, their earlier movies, The Barbarians, Think Big, Double Trouble, so forth and so on, up until Twin Cities, which I believe was 93 or 95,
Right.
all went straight to DVD and did well. I mean, for B movies, they made them a good income. They built some beautiful homes up at Topanga. Those were $1 million homes. And I ended up passing on the motion picture with them because I'm a numbers guy. And when I came out to meet with them, I brought with me the Silver Screen Partners that I had raised money for at the Shearson Lehman Brothers in Boston. And this was a portfolio of movies for Disney. Because I don't know if you remember, but Disney was sort of flat on their back at one time. And they were struggling. And we raised a lot of money for them to do movies. And they did a slate of 10 fabulous movies that did box office gold.
Right.
And yet for the investor, they got a mediocre return at best. And that made me scratch my head. So I figured I'd come in and take a much closer look at the books. I spent a couple days on the set, met John Turteltaub and the other actors and whatnot.
So you basically ruined their career.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, knowing that, they probably
They're gonna blame you.
But that doesn't really explain it. So the books were cooked, right?
Well, this is what I discovered. In normal accounting procedures, there's a formula that you follow. In Hollywood, it's make-believe. They can create they have their own accounting. There's no FASB accounting laws in Hollywood. They make up whatever they want, and I couldn't wrap my arms around that. So I passed.
Right.
I ended up doing a toxicology clinic in Beverly Hills, and then the shit hit the fan in LA with the riots. And just before I left, I met with a gentleman named Dominic Orsatti. he wanted me to raise money for a film about Lucky Luciano. And at the time, he had previously tried to do that in '76. And allegedly in '75, he got permission through a young John Gotti, who brought him to Carlo Gambino to get permission to actually make this. And the interesting thing about this movie, it was told from the Sicilian's point of view.
Interesting.
And it was about the political connection between the powers that be and the underworld.
Taxes was feeling unwelcome. Now Taxes is an open door to new TurboTax stores. Meet our experts.
I gotta watch his ads.
Taxes, so you can walk out with confidence.
I gotta cut this shit out.
This is Taxes.
Detective Raven, this
Two
is
ads.
Capital Court, powered by
You know,
artificial
Dave's
intelligence. Your
podcast
charge
gets a
is
lot of
with your
views.
wife.
It didn't hurt.
Here we go.
So back in '76, he had an executive producer named Irwin Swift. Big guy, 6'4", 400 pounds. And he was bankrolling the whole movie. So, you know, he was having dinner one night up in the Upper East Side of New York with the wife of an associate. And in a crowded dining room, someone comes in a side door that's normally locked, pumps two in the back of his head. No one saw a thing. And the movie got segued.
Wow.
And, you know, the story is that it was probably someone to do with government because they did not want this story told.
I'm sure. Let me ask you a question. You said you had told me you were there the day that the. I'm almost afraid to ask this question, but the day that the light came into Peter.
Whoa. Back up. We were discussing why they got blacklisted. I still have no idea why that happened. Now you're on to another topic.
All right.
I don't know for a fact that he actually has been blacklisted, but if he has, I would tend to say that it's his own fault because he's very difficult to get along with. Peter is not a businessman, and yet when I met with them, he was the voice for the Barbarians, not David. David's
Really?
more of
I
a,
didn't know that.
yeah. When I met them, David had nothing to say about their business. I dealt with Peter only. David barely said two words.
It's interesting that Peter was the voice. You know what it was? David was very non-confrontational.
David
I don't
was
like
the artist.
ask for things.
David was
would
the
have done it
artist.
for free.
Peter was the
David would have done
businessman.
it for free.
Right.
So that's why. Yeah.
No, but you know what it is?
Wait. So do we know or not know definitively why they were blacklisted at that early point in time?
Peter was very difficult to get along.
I don't think they were blacklisted, John.
I don't think
I
they
just
were
think no
either.
one.
I don't think so. You know what I think? I think that they try to handle the business. They said we could do our own business. We could be our own agents. We could do all that shit. And they got too much. And after a while, people were like, you know what? I'm not dealing with them. I'm not
Yeah,
dealing.
they should have had an agent. They should have had an agent.
But
So
they
there
know
was no
better.
blacklisting. There was no
Listen.
blacklisting.
But why does Derek Jeter need when you say to yourself, oh, he's one of the greatest baseball players ever lived, why does he need an agent to help him get a contract? All he has to do is say to the Yankees, this is what I want. No, you have to have an agent. You understand? But those kind of guys, you can't tell them anything. They know everything. We'll do our own thing. We'll get our own money. We'll be our own agents. We'll write the script, produce the script, direct the script. And that's what I think happened. I don't think they were blacklisted. I think they just they came to the table thinking they wanted too much, and they were,
They were their greatest asset and their worst.
right. I think they overwhelmed everybody. So they were like, you know what? I can't deal with these guys. They're impossible.
Well, I'll tell you something. When I handed Peter, after I first met him, he let me stay up at his house in Topanga for 2 weeks because he was staying in the valley with his girlfriend at the time, Prescott Thomas. And I handed him that prospectus from Silver Screen Partners, which basically had the Lehman Brothers, document on how you raise money, on the legalese of how you raise money for motion pictures, right? He takes it home that night to the valley, and the next day, he must have spent all night, and the guy's a world-class typist. He must type 100 words a minute. The next
And he
day,
types like Greg, all capitals too.
And one finger. I do the one. I do the
before
one
this
finger.
was before
he
everything
types.
came in
Me
all
too.
caps. The next day, he had his own prospectus written for a Barbarian movie. It was unbelievable.
Peter is that intelligent? I didn't know that.
Well, that was then. I don't know about now. But how? What did he do? Why did he change his name to Peter Palpin? I mean, what did he do? What is that? What the hell is that all about? You know?
You know, he explains it because of the situation that occurred with the light in 2005, and I happened to be there. It occurred at 5:30 in the morning, and Peter normally sleeps till about noon because he stays up usually till about 3 in the morning.
He's like you, Greg.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So this was in Westwood, California. He had a kind of like a apartment that was like a business storefront. And I was doing a job nearby, a couple blocks away, and I had to be at the site there around 6:37 in the morning. So I'm getting up, and it's about 5:30, and I go over to check on Peter, and he's laying in bed, sound asleep, okay? And he's got one of those little blue Apple, remember those little blue Apple computers? The next level they came out, it was like a blue.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
I know
you know what I'm saying, right?
Like a little box. Yeah, it was like kids used to have that. Like kids had that shit. Yeah.
He's got one of those, right? And he's laying on his back in bed, okay? I shit you not. And he's got the keyboard sort of in his lap. And he's going like this, like he's the flight of the bumblebee on the goddamn keyboard. No.
What?
I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
So I walk up and I look at the monitor, and it's going brr, 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 brr. And so I shake him awake. You know, I give him a couple of slaps. And I go, Peter, what the fuck are you doing? He finally wakes up and he had no idea what he was doing.
Wow.
But then we read what the hell he was doing. And I just had to shake my head and I go, Peter, what the fuck?
What was he read? What did it say? What did it say?
It was like I, and you know, and then go, and then it got into a little story, and it wasn't punctuated. There was no spacing between the words, and he went on to have to translate that, and I had to get off because I had an early morning meeting. Remember, this is the left coast. I'm still dealing with back east, where you know shit starts at 9 o'clock, which is 6 o'clock my time. Right?
Imagine if you could clean your retainer at the touch of a button.
You know, what are you doing to me?
Engineers knew there had to be a more effective and convenient.
Yeah. Wow.
So that
That's
was
when
when
the
the light first appeared to him, and at that point we didn't know what the hell this was.
Right.
He didn't know
Wait.
what it was.
Let me ask, John. Did you guys ever translate that? Who's got that document now?
Well,
He does. He does, and he just recently got his hands on the whatever you call that
Disk.
from that computer, the
hard drive.
the hard
disk?
drive. He just got the hard drive disk, whatever it is, from that computer, and he's getting all that material now into his new computer.
I would ask AI to write it out. In other words, I bet you if you ask AI to put this into translate this or whatever, or write it in normal form, it probably could do that in probably 3 seconds.
You know what AI would say?
Absolutely.
Stop fucking around with drugs.
No. See, that's the thing. These guys never did any drugs.
Nothing.
I mean, other than bodybuilding stuff. They didn't smoke marijuana. They didn't do mushrooms. They never did any kind of drugs.
But how come he's so
They had them
sharp,
built
though?
in.
Why is he so sharp?
They had it built in.
Is that mental illness? What is that?
No. Peter's very smart, very intelligent.
No, but all
Yeah,
that.
they didn't
I
drink.
think the problem was
They didn't drink. They didn't drug.
This
None
is
of
the
that's
problem.
true.
I'm going to tell you what the problem is. When whatever happened that got them, out of Hollywood, whether it be Peter or whatever, or they got blacklisted, David just kind of went into his own creative little, bubble and did his art, his photography, and he lived happy. Peter, I think, resented the fact that, that they kind of screwed him over. And it might have been their own fault. We don't know. Whatever happened, I think he became very disillusioned and very negative about the whole situation because he knows he could have made it. He obviously had a head for business, but maybe he was his own worst enemy in that sense, and I think that messed him up. Now, that in conjunction with obviously something spiritually happened to him. We know that. I mean, John's basically
I would agree with you.
confirming that.
Something
confirming-
very spiritual
But-
happened to him.
But
20
imagine you
years
have
ago.
this. Yeah, imagine you get this spiritual gift, and you feel that you've been screwed out of like your birthright, essentially, or what they were about to accomplish. It's got to be very discouraging, I have to imagine. And I think he became very disillusioned with that. I don't blame him.
Yeah, but where does Peter Palpin? Where's Palpin? What is
He
that?
made up another.
Why? Why?
When the light
That's
came.
all the lies.
This came from the light.
Yeah,
This
I'd
was
like to
not
see
his
that light.
doing. This is what the light told him to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop
So
listening
David
to light.
went on to become a world-class photographer.
Yeah.
We
Learned
worked
to
with him.
play the guitar. That
Yeah.
kid from Germany, Alec, taught him how to play the guitar. I mean, we met Alec busking on 3rd Street Promenade. We also met that girl who would become kind of the main focus for Positive Toys as a 9-10-year-old busking on the 3rd Street Promenade. And we've got a lot of video. She did a lot of the music for the Silly Source Solution. Because, after the riot in LA, I went down to San Diego and I would fund the kids' cable network, and that ended up going out to 11 million homes. It was a grand slam home run. It did very well, and I came back up to LA, and when I was there, I was doing an IPO for an electric utility because California had, I don't know if you remember, just deregulated the power industry. What a fiasco that was. You remember when everyone's utility rents went up 300%?
Yeah, I was there.
Remember the whole Enron debacle?
Oh shit.
So I brought
remember
a
that.
smaller company public to compete in that space back in '99, and I ran into Peter Rickles' gym, and he has one prototype dinosaur, one song on a DVD sung by Alec, and he has an idea of doing a comforter, selling puppets, vis-a-vis an infomercial. And I said, Peter, that sounds like a great deal. Let me do some seed capital for you. So I structured a company, got him his first $350,000, and this was like February, March, the beginning of '99.
That's a lot of money back then.
Hey, look, it was enough to do a beautiful start for the company. He only gave
Right.
up 10% of the business, the way I structured it.
Right.
And we were able to, raise additional rounds after that, but it was enough for a Christmas launch.
So what happened?
Then here's what happened, and this is
That's
what
right.
led up, I think, to his whole, if you want to call it breakdown, if you want to call it whatever.
The
All right?
light.
Okay. So, we go, him and one of the first investors who I brought in, a gentleman named Helmut Kirby from Germany. Actually, from Austria. He gets pissed if you say he's from Germany. From Austria. And he's still around. He's 80 years old, living in South Carolina.
Right.
But they went off to Hong Kong, got a contract with PK Toys, got 5,000 comforters made, got a manufacturer in India to make 5,000 comforters. So we've got all this available and ready. And he went in the studio and got a whole album of Sleepy songs made, and they're excellent. So we're all set to go. Got the infomercial now made. We're all set to launch, right, for the Christmas season. I mean, this was the business plan. This is what I raised the money for, correct? And guess what happens?
What?
This is the Achilles heel. He reads a book, and I'm like, Peter, why do you read?
I thought maybe somebody turned the light off. Go
He
ahead.
reads a book by Walt Disney,
Right.
and he goes, Disney would never launch this way, and so he never fucking launches.
What? Oh my god. So the whole thing went into the tubes. What happened to all that money though?
It never launched, and he used that money that we were gonna go to the television broadcasting of these infomercials.
Yeah.
and he lived off it and started to create more and more and more. He did wake up songs, these songs, that songs.
The
He did
light, the
Midas, he did
goddamn
this,
light.
he did that. Peter Watermelon. You know, I told him about this thing I did in the fourth grade. Oh, Peter Watermelon.
Hear me out. Level 1, level 4. I don't even know if I can get to level 4. Level 1.
Boy, he's making some money with these ads. I'm in the wrong business.
And so
He pulled a George, basically.
But none of that went anywhere though. Where is
What
Johnny
is
pulled
George?
a
Wouldn't that
He
people-
started making too many cookies.
Wait, I got a
Didn't
question.
those people want the money back though? Nobody asked for that money back?
here's the thing. Now, Helmut and I go back, way back to when I was with Prudential Page in New Hampshire.
We did gray market cars
So-
together.
You know, I went and stayed with him in South Carolina, and he was really pissed off at me
Woo! Pissed.
because, you know, I tried to get him into that kids' cable
You
network,
should have listened.
Yeah.
and 10,000 invested in that in 2 years became worth $500,000.
Wow.
And he passed on it.
He did.
Oh no.
Doy!
You know, venture capital, only 20%.
Yeah, but the silly sort. the
Only
silly
20%
sort
make it, 80% fail.
It was tremendous. It was fantastic.
It was a brilliant thing he came up with. He was.
Yeah, but he kept the fucking money.
But he didn't launch. He didn't fucking launch.
We'll never
John,
know.
another Jimmy the Bull, John. He couldn't pull the
Yeah,
trigger.
couldn't pull the
Hey,
trigger. Wait, I got a question.
That's the theme of this show.
That's enough. I keep going, but this is enough. We've gone on for 21 minutes.
You can have the greatest idea of all time. You can have all the backing behind you, but you got to be able to pull the trigger.
You gotta
There's
learn
a lot
to
of people
play.
out there with tremendous potential and tremendous ideas. They want to achieve all this. They have great physiques, whatever the case may be, but they're just afraid to pull the trigger, and they never quite make it. You got to do it. You got to go for it, guys.
Yeah, but you can't keep that money.
Afraid
for
to
yourself.
pull
I
the
don't
trigger.
understand why the investors
They
didn't
raised it. Well, when you raise the money, you raise the money. You know, you keep us developing.
Here's a quick
Wait, I
update
got a
on that.
relevant question.
Quick update.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, Dave, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had Peter on the show.
Yeah.
We had Peter on the show with no video, John. No video.
Yeah.
Because the light didn't get turned back on.
Wait. Now he explains that there's this company ready to give him millions of dollars to do something, and he couldn't dilute his image by having it, you know, having it forward.
I can explain that.
Can you explain that, please?
Please.
I can. I've got a meeting today at 4 p.m. with a venture capital company. We had a valuation done on Positive Toys, which what it has become now. Because he's actually written over 160 songs, all told.
Peter.
Yeah,
Wow.
Peter and various artists. He hasn't just been lollygagging, you know, with that money. He's gotten a lot of shit done, okay? And so the valuation that was put on this thing, believe it or not, is north of $500 million.
What? It's still out there. It's still viable.
Well, actually, the intellectual property for the value of the songs that have been written and other such matters, yes.
John,
Why doesn't he sell it? Why doesn't he sell it?
Well, I'm going to look for a second round of VC capital in the neighborhood of $25 million. And if we can do that, you know, that's going to dilute him down. Right now, he owns 90% of the company.
Who's singing this song?
It'll dilute him down to about 55 to 60% ownership, and then
That's still majority. Yeah.
it's still majority, but he'll lose majority upon the IPO in 2 to 3 years. And part of the deal with the venture capitalists is he will no longer be the voice of the company.
Bingo.
Which is probably best.
John, who's singing those
Yeah.
songs?
Wait a minute. We still don't know why he couldn't be on video 2 weeks ago.
Because his
I'll tell you
image
why.
is secret. The light
Tell
was
you
off.
why. His image is secret, and he's been working like a son of a gun, working out 6 days a week. And when he makes his reveal, the world is going to be shocked.
John,
He's
who's singing?
almost 70 years old.
John, who's singing?
He looks phenomenal. I went up with my girlfriend and visited him in Vermont last June, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. I mean, he looked unbelievable. I couldn't, you know,
Those guys took good care of themselves.
he looked unbelievable. You would think he's in his 30s.
John, who's singing those songs? Is he singing?
No,
All right, good. Because
Peter
I saw-
can't sing.
I know. I saw that. That's what we
David can sing, but yeah.
He's got. He's
Even
singing.
David's singing. I mean, David when he first started singing,
Yeah.
but by the end, he sounded like that guy Tom Waits.
Dude,
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He
He
did.
sounded like the Little Rascal Silver String Submarine Band.
I'll tell
That
you
was
what,
like.
when Peter wrote the songs, you say. He
Well,
wrote the songs.
Peter would basically write like a poem.
Right.
He had Donnie Demers, who recently passed, and Alec, and a guy named Dave Levine, who was a great guitarist. He's now in Massachusetts as well. He had a number of really talented musicians and singers around him that took his basic ideas.
Mhm.
See, I would work to bring this utility company public by day, and
Right.
at night we had studio time. We threw the engineer $100. We had the studio all night, and I would show up there to supervise the spending of the money. Right?
I got you. Yeah, smart.
And we even had Damian Elliott,
Wow.
who was
If you had to put odds on it, for the
Dionne
next thing
Warwick's
to go
son.
through, you'll raise that venture capital, and that this thing will blow up and make a lot of money. What would you say the percentage? What 50-50?
I would have a very clear picture of that after my VC meeting
80%
today. I don't like
positive.
to make bets on anything until I know
It's
sure
gonna
thing.
happen.
I know it.
I got you.
It's
All right.
gonna happen.
We'll keep our fingers crossed because we love Peter, we love David. I love.
I
this.
wish him the
This
best.
is-
I just.
if
I'd
he
like to
makes
see
it-
nothing more than this go through for him, but it's gonna now in the next round need
Yeah.
to be taken out of Peter's hand.
Never ever sue the driver who crashed into